but you're considering his overtime.
Well, support is based on income from which support could be paid. It doesn't differentiate or say that.
Well, I'll tell him to quit working overtime. I mean, he's working overtime so he can afford something. Overtime is optional. If he wants to spend his time working instead of sitting in a bar spending money, why should, that matter?
I'm just saying that the support formula doesn't exclude specifically overtime pay.
Welcome back to Family Court Drama. In today's episode, we're diving into a child support hearing. The state is requesting an increase in the father's child support payments from $1,012 to $1,873 due to a change in his income. However, the father's lawyer is challenging this increase, arguing that the state's calculation unfairly includes his overtime pay. Let's see how the judge decides in this case.
We'll take up file 2016-54534. John Kuzinski and Joyce Anderson, and both are here via Zoom. Mr. Greer's here on behalf of the plaintiff, and good Ms. Evan here from friend of the court. Matter was set for hearing on an objection to a support review. Ms. Evan, do you have an update on the matter?
I do. I conducted a statutory review. I sent out my recommendation. The recommendation would have Mr. Kuzinski paying $1,873 a month for 4 children. I used the information provided by the parties and by their employer, by the plaintiff's employer. I used a year-to-date gross divided by the 45 weeks that was reported by the employer, and I used the defendant's wages for the last employer information.
All right. What's the current support amount, do you know?
Current support is $1,012 for 4 children.
I don't think so.
And how'd the matter
Oh, I'm sorry. The current. I apologize.
And Ms. Evan, how'd the matter come to your attention?
It was objected by Mr. Greer and his client.
Right, for the objection, but how'd the review at first come to your, how'd that get initiated?
It's a statutory review, a 3-year review.
All right, so one or both parties asked for the review or responded that they wanted the review done?
The children are on public assistance, so we had to do the review.
Okay. All right, and Mr. Greer, your client objected to the recommended amount?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why is that?
Well, the recommended amount is $1,873.
Yep.
And it's based on all of his overtime, all of his bonus, which is a reimbursement for his medical, and all of his sick time. And he's paid $25 an hour times 40 hours. And the amount that the friend of the court used was $91,000 a year. And I think it's closer to 25. I had 52,000 a year is 40 times 25.
So, Ms. Evan, what income did you use for Mr. Kuzinski?
His employer reported for 45 weeks a gross of $78,547.20. Last year, they reported $89,665 for the year.
You know, I don't know.
That's what they were, hold on. That's what they reported. What did you actually use for his income?
I used the 78,547 divided by the 45 weeks for a weekly amount times our 4.35.
All right, and then did that
52
equate to about 85,000? Was that a consistent amount for the 2 years? if you extrapolated for 52 weeks?
So it'd be 75, 92, 93 a month. So it'd be $91,115 for the year.
So 91,000 this year, 85,000 last year?
89.6.
Oh, 89,000 last year.
But you're considering his overtime.
Well, support is based on income from which support could be paid. It doesn't differentiate or say that.
Well, I'll tell him to quit working overtime. I mean, he's working overtime so he can afford something. Overtime is optional. If he wants to spend his time working instead of sitting in a bar spending money, why should, that matter?
I'm just saying that the support formula doesn't exclude specifically overtime pay.
I understand.
All income from which support could be paid, all available income to both parties. And
So you want him working, because he literally almost doubles his income on overtime and the bonus, which is a reimbursement of his medical for the children.
And he gets credit for the medical of $291 a month.
Sure, he's reimbursed. That's what reimbursement means. He pays
No, I
it.
mean on the calculation, he got credit for it.
so if he
I don't
doubles his
even know if
income,
that's
so under your theory, Mr. Greer, if he doubles his income, then he would make 45,000 without the overtime. 45 plus 45 would be the 90,000 with it. The support obligation for the year is recommended anyway at this point by a friend of the court of 21,600 for the year. So that would still be only half of the increase that he gains by working the overtime.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. What would it be? It's not 45, it's 52. But what would it be at 52,000? What would the support be?
Ms. Evan, do you have that number?
I'm sorry.
But I can look at it.
I mean, I could do it, but I'd have to X out of here, and I don't think anybody wants to lose me.
Hold on, bear with me here. The old calculation is not coming up, and I don't know if it's because we're in the new year, but let me enter it in again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Give me $25 an hour.
No, madam. Sadie, stop. Close the door and come on. You don't need, well, okay, give me a minute and then you'll brush your teeth. Hold on. In a minute.
Is she talking to me? Yes, ma'am, I will.
No, Zadie, come out. Do not go in the bathroom. Shut the door, please. That's open, not shut. Shut the door. Not right now.
Well, she's doing that. Sir, what's your underlying base pay, your hourly rate?
$25 an hour,
40 hours a week.
40 hours a week is what I'm supposed to work, and if we get overtime, we use it.
And you get, so that's 52. So you get a significant amount of overtime. Is that all optional or is some of it mandatory?
It's optional. If I want to take it, I can. There's only a few guys that work there, so.
And then ma'am, where do you work?
I don't right now.
When is the last, that you did work?
I worked for a little while up until this week
Where at?
at Houseman's Foods.
How much do you make there?
A whole $9.87.
Why'd you stop working there?
She didn't like the way I had, I guess I had an attitude. I have no idea.
How long did you work there?
I only worked there like a month, I'd say.
Where'd you work before that?
I hadn't worked for a while, but before that it was at Grand Oaks. It's a nursing home in Baldwin.
How much did you make there?
Oh goodness, I think I was at like around 16 by the time I stopped working there.
When was that?
Oh goodness, April. I don't remember if it was 20 or 21. How long have I not worked at Grand Oaks?
Why'd you leave that job?
It was COVID related.
Ms. Evan, what income did you use for, Ms. Anderson? Oh, you're muted.
So I used 1565, 25 hours.
1565 at 25 hours?
Correct.
Where'd that come from?
That was her 2021 income from Grand Oaks that she provided me with information on. Do you want me to use a different amount?
Well, ma'am, when you worked there, were more hours available? You just didn't work them, or were 25 hours?
I was-
always available, or what?
I was actually just scheduled for 3 days every 2 weeks, but I quit from other people.
Oh, what?
I picked up a lot of days from other people that either called in or,
And then, sir, do you make time and a half when you work the overtime?
Yes, sir.
So 37.50 an hour?
Yes, sir.
I guess my question was, if we put him in at 25 an hour for 40 hours, we don't give him credit for the insurance that he gets reimbursed for, but from his employer, correct? Because he's purchasing it himself and then his employer reimburses him.
Right, well,
In the beginning, I paid for insurance, and then when insurance kept going up, then my employer said, instead of giving you a raise, I can just reimburse your insurance for it. So that's how that got started. Because I got where I couldn't afford the insurance.
But the insurance just covers you?
It covers me and all 4 kids.
So I guess a bigger question is, if you're making $90,000 a year, why are the kids on Medicaid? I guess because they qualify because mom's not working.
I don't know. He's working and
Even when I work, they still qualify. Because I don't make enough to support me and 5 kids, no matter what I do.
And
I
I
guess-
think part of the issue with the amount is he doesn't have any overnights with 2 of the kids, so that plays a big role too.
well, we'll get to that.
All right, well, what do you want to say about that? Because that's a big factor.
Well, if he's based at the 52,000, it's going to be a lot different. I mean, we know what she's almost doubled his income because he chose to work overtime.
Well, I get that. What do you want to say about the overnights?
Well, I mean, if he doesn't see the kids, he doesn't see the kids overnight. Put that in the factor.
Well, she did, but that's a big consideration. That's a big part of the formula.
I understand, but so is double income. I'm just trying to get the income down, and then we'll go from there, because the income is a choice of his, how he wants to spend his free time.
All right, well, you said you wanted to address the overnight, so that was why I was giving you that.
Well, I'm sorry, then I misspoke. We agree that he doesn't see 2 of the children, right? Yes.
Is that the older 2 or the younger 2?
The other 2,
The older?
How old are they? Older.
older,
How old are they?
17.
What grade
So,
are they in?
Ms. Evan, what's the in your formula that you had with the 1,800 for 4 kids? What is it for 2 kids when the other 2 drop off in October?
1,100.
It would be $1,100, $1,110 for 2 children. So putting him in at $25 an hour, mom at $15.65 for 25 hours, no premium adjustment, that would have him paying $1,607 a month for 4 children.
That's without the overtime?
Correct. It's $52,200 a year, $4,350 a month for his income.
But you took out the premium adjustment? Why is that?
Because he pays for it himself and it's reimbursed for his employer, so that was part of his bonus or his income.
Oh, I see.
He's
So
getting
you took-
reimbursed that $1,298.47 that he pays out every month.
So you took out all of the premium adjustment, which was essentially income, and all of the overtime, and it dropped it to 1,607?
That can't be right.
All right.
That can't be right. How many?
$25 an hour times 40 is $4,350 a month for $52,200 a year.
Yeah.
He has 100 overnights with one of the children. 100 overnights with Isella, 130 overnights with Isaiah, and no overnights with Zariah or Xander. He has no additional children. He lists no deductions of any sort, no union dues, no retirement information, no mandatory deductions.
Mr. Greer, I made all the changes you want me to make.
You did. You did do that. Yeah, look, I guess I mean, if the court is willing to set the income based on that, on the 25 times 40, and then calculating back in, his bonus, I'll run it myself. It is what it is. I mean, I just didn't want him to use overtime to calculate the support. So I can't believe that's all it changes it. But here on this one,
Well, you
Rebecca,
gotta remember, it's been 3 years since it was run, and he was given 102 overnights for all of the kids at that time. So if he lost the overnights for the older two kids, support's been going on for 3 years with him having credit for 102 overnights with both of those kids.
oh. Well, I guess I could say that we're ready, willing, and able to see the kids, but they don't want to.
All right,
So
well,
that's-
that's an issue for a different day if somebody files a parenting time motion, I guess.
Yes.
All right, ma'am, anything you wanted to say?
I don't think so.
All right. I go back and forth on overtime. It is, especially when it's optional. And this overtime is optional, and I hate to discourage employees trying to work more to get ahead. And I understand that does affect the child support recommendation when it's used. When it's mandatory, it's a little more clear cut that it probably has to be used. When it's optional, I kind of look at it as the court has to make an equitable decision, and presumably if support was set using the overtime, the employee could stop working the optional overtime, and support would have to be rerun. And I take that into consideration when considering overtime. The recommendation probably didn't drop as much as Mr. Greer and his client thought it would, taking all of that overtime out, using $52,000 a year for his client instead of $90,000 a year. But I think that has probably as much to do with the overnights with two of the children. Keeping in mind those two are the older two, and they're going to age out here. I don't know, are they seniors or juniors right now?
Juniors.
Juniors. So actually, that's going to go on until June of 2024, with them being part of the calculation, not October of this year, as long as they're in school, living with the custodial parent in school, on track to graduate. So,
Oh, Sadie.
then
Yeah, you can have it.
using a pretty substantial wage for the defendant, even though she's not actually making that wage at this point, but it's imputed because it's a wage she's established that she's capable of earning. So I guess keeping all that in mind, I think the updated recommendation is appropriate. With the
Which one, Your Honor?
The 1,607, the one not using the overtime.
Very well.
Dad, but also imputing mom at a wage that she made a couple of years ago, but at least a wage that she established she was capable of earning. So that would be the recommendation that would become an order. Ms. Evan, what was the effective date of that to be?
Effective January 1st.
All right, that'd be effective 1/1/20.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, anything else for today?
No, thank you.
All right, we should be all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Wow, what an interesting case. The judge ended up increasing the father's monthly child support payment from $1,012 to $1,607. The judge cited the limited overnight visits with the two oldest children as a key factor, which, when factored into the formula, led to the adjusted amount. What do you think? Should the father's overtime pay be considered in calculating his child support, or is it fair to include all of his income? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.